Welcome to yet another episode of my podcast Nirantara, where we talk about life, everyday lives. Today I have a most amazing woman who has led her life journey into an amazing transformation like a butterfly. So without wasting any further time, let me welcome my guest today, Anita Reddy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Warmly welcome. So Anita, tell us, my audience, about who Anita is before we go into the journey.
Yeah. So I think who I am has been changing from time to time. And I think if I have to describe myself, I think I will say Anita is someone who is comfortable with change.
I'm noting that.
And there's a lot of power in that. And I think that has been the mantra of my life. To give a glimpse, I was someone who followed rules.
Okay.
Because as children, we are told certain things. Okay, woman is like this, a girl is like this is what she's here for. And so many of them made sense at that time. And I think a lot of my life, I led with that principle. Okay. Childhood was lots of ups and downs, and it was very hard to have that family set up. So I think when I had the chance to make my own family, for me, in my head, it was very clear: follow the rules, and everything will be all right.
Okay.
And of course, it was not that rules. Exactly, yeah. Right? And I think very soon I realized that things are not okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I think to give a little glimpse, I was very happily married, a great daughter, and I'm not saying just from this thing, but also feedback that I received. I became like a great daughter-in-law, a great wife, a great mother, and I think those accolades around me for the roles I held.
Okay.
But in all that, there was no Anita. And the day that realization came in was, I think, one of my hardest days. And suddenly I was like, oh, wow, okay. Yes, around me, everybody else seems to be very happy and praising me and, putting this nice crown. And I was happy wearing that crown. And but I was not happy inside.
Yeah.
There was something missing. And yeah, I think, like they say, when we start looking, you find answers. So I think one of these days, I was looking at, we have these post-it notes I used to have. And there were like 20-25 post-it notes all across the fridge. And one day I realized none of it had my name on it. Oh, not one.
Okay.
It was always about, okay, this person needs this person needs this care, this person has this class, this person needs this, my house needs this. So my everything, my alarms in my phone, my post-it notes, my to-do list was all about my roles.
Yeah.
Now I have the language to talk about it, but maybe that day I didn't. I didn't know the difference between who am I versus what is my role. And that led to asking questions. Okay, who am I? And very funnily, it was so, I can laugh about it now, but I think one of the days I remember going out for a dinner first time on my own, alone, with no friends, no family. And I looked at the menu and I didn't know what to order.
Okay.
So other than Pani Puri, which is my favorite, I didn't know what I liked. Because when there are 4 or 5 people on the table, it was a habit. It had become a habit. Nobody enforced it on me. But for me, it had become a habit that whatever everybody orders, I take a bite of each of them.
That's why I remember you saying there was no Anita. That means Anita never gave attention to what she liked, what she wanted. And you also said that you were feeling like I'm lost or I don't know what I am. What were you feeling emotionally?
Emotionally, there was, I think, a lot of frustration, a lot of unexplained anger. There was a lot of sadness. And I think there's a lot of fear when I'm following the rules and yet things are not okay. I'm like, okay, then what is the way forward? So a lot of fear had set in, and I was becoming more and more cautious with things that I was doing. It feels like a lifetime ago now.
That realization, Anita, what's next for you?
So I think it's a very difficult place to be there because generally in our society and where I was, I did not have people to relay that information and to ask for guidance.
Okay.
I had friends who were great, like good friends to go party out, go for shopping and share everyday things. But not this. I think in my own system, there was a lot of guilt and shame for why I was feeling.
Okay.
Because it was always like, great husband, great kids, great family, life is going great, you have no problems, no visible problems. Like, what are you cribbing about?
We hear that often, right?
Yeah. So I think my own system, of course, I could hear it from outside, but I think in my own system, I had that feeling that nothing is wrong. What is troubling you so much?
Okay.
So the only way to figure that out was on my own. So I believe in divine guidance, and I think that is a time.
Universe.
So universe, divine guidance, some protection. And there came a time where I read about Kailash Mansarovar.
Okay.
And I was not very religious. I didn't know what Kailash was. Of course, I knew Shiva, but I could barely walk a kilometer. I'm not like greatly fit, but somehow something that I read and really got inspired by, and I signed up for a 25-day trek to Kailash Mansarovar Yatra.
Wow.
And I still don't know how it happened, but it happened. And I think that was the beginning of change.
Okay.
Of looking at who I am by myself, without my roles, without a support system, without all the baggage that I carry, because I was in a divinely guided presence. And 25 days, when I came back a different person, because suddenly I realized that, till now I was seeing love as a transaction. I give you love, I will receive this from you. So all my transactionals in relationships around me were like that in my head.
Okay.
And only when I went on this trip, I realized that love is divine. And it's not a transaction. And that itself changed how I started seeing myself. That, I am this person who is amazing, who is lovable, which earlier it was like, I am useful to somebody, hence they are loving me. It's a very hard place to be in, and that I think brought in like a real shift in seeing, okay, let's start doing things that you want to do. And slowly that led to me going for treks on my own, and becoming into a fitness journey. I started suddenly taking care. I think so. It was just not emotional taking care, but also the physical. We forget that it is the body that carries all of these things. And each experience led to a different spectrum of me knowing about myself.
Okay.
So from somebody who is very comfortable living, I really went into hardcore fitness, living in camps, living in the forest on my own, living barefoot for 2 years, hiking barefoot for 2 years. So I think the return from Kailash Mansarovar took me to a space of learning to take care of myself. Which most probably I have not done all my life, and I've always been taking care of others as a priority, and now suddenly the focus shifted on, okay, what can I do to take care of myself? So which included the physical body, the emotional body. So physically I started hiking more, got into running. As an experiment, I lived 2 years completely barefoot. I was hiking and running barefoot, and it had so many questions being asked, and I think some of it I really appreciated myself, because despite a lot of resistance, like friends and family are obviously not okay with you moving around in them barefoot everywhere in all the dirty spaces. And I couldn't actually answer at that point, why am I doing what I'm doing? I had no answer. If somebody asked me, okay, what are you getting out of this? Or why are you doing this? What is the end result? I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
It's just here.
Okay.
It is
you
this.
Just followed your heart.
Yeah.
If I have to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because suddenly now I realize there's a voice here. And it was new. Right? I never heard that voice before. So I think it was important to give that voice a chance.
Okay.
And I think that is what I was doing. So hiked, ran, lived barefoot, and then I landed on this amazing journey where me and another lady, 2 women, drove from London to Mongolia for 45 days in an 18-year-old really bad car with no GPS system. And that was an adventure of a life.
Okay.
And I think as long as the adventure was great. Like every day it had new experiences. You learn on the go because you don't have a booking, you don't know where you'll be tonight, you're like on the go going. And my partner was somebody who was not a friend. She was a friend's sister. So there was so many dynamics, so 2 different women actually sitting and working through such a rough journey. And I think when we finished, there was a lot of exhilaration, like so much of joy of being able to do that. And in the process, while telling our stories on social media, we also collected like 27 lakhs as for a charity fund, NGO.
Okay.
So it was like really soul-filling while we are doing this adventure, and of course it is fun. And there are risks involved, of course. But when I came back from this 45-day adventure, I went into depression.
Okay.
And now looking back, I can say the primary reasons were the moment I came back, suddenly it was like, oh, 45 days, you went on your own. You're so amazing that you have a husband who allows this. And it really hit me very hard. I'm like, there's so much of me that is playing out all this. Yes, of course, people, family play a role. But to give them the credit for what I have done was something which was very hard for me. And I didn't know how to fight that. And I think 3 months I just sat down and wept, not knowing what is bothering me so much. It was almost like, that little child who wins the first prize and somebody else comes on the stage and takes away that prize and goes. That was a feeling that I had. That was a very heavy feeling. But I think that one thing that taught me is it doesn't matter what we do. We also need to claim our place. Just because you're doing great things, nobody is going to offer you a seat. And there's a very famous, I don't know who is the author, but somebody said that you are either sitting on the table and are the decision maker, or you're on the menu and somebody else is making the decisions for you.
Ooh, that hit hard. Maybe you felt like you were doing both, right, at one point of time?
So while I was doing these adventures, it was my decisions and I was doing it despite a lot of resistance from family and friends, and people suddenly like, what happened to you? Everything was perfect in your life. Why are you on this path? I knew that was not keeping me happy. That's the only thing that I knew. And doesn't help to not have a guide, support system to work through this transition phase. I was in a huge transition of moving from somebody who prioritized her roles to moving to somebody who prioritized herself. And I think as women, most women, this is the largest challenge. No matter where our life circumstances are, this is the challenge part. So like I said, again, the universe guidance, I landed up studying psychology. I started realizing that as I did all this, I was very good with people skills. I could understand people's problems, and I could now, I needed a language to articulate what I was feeling. And in the process, I also started seeing mentors and coaches. some not so good, who really took me astray, but some really good ones who gave me direction in life.
Okay.
And as I started studying behavioral science, psychology, I started having language for what I was feeling.
Do we have a name for it now?
So I don't know if I can put one name to it. And I think when transition happened, I always, at least in my thing, and I think most people I talk to, transition happens in phases. It's not a one-time thing. And I think every transition might have a different name, might feel different, and might bring up new challenges. For me, how I see these transition is about knowing. Like I said, we all have this inner voice.
Correct.
We somehow, because of our conditions or societal standards or what we have heard from our parents, for want of better, look, parents also don't know, right? They know what they have learned from their parents. So it's a generational thing. There is a lot of external voice that makes room in our heads. So I think it's important to vacate all those unpaid tenants in our heads.
Can you give us, like, for my audience might not know what those tenants are. Can you name them?
For example, so a little like, so I've done a lot of inner work in terms of family healing, psychology, psychotherapy, past life regression, healing. You mentioned it. I've experimented with a lot of things to figure out who am I. And in that, I realized, for example, women, because we're talking about women, like my grandmother, my mom's mom, got married at 13. Okay? At 13, she's got married, but she's in a village ecosystem. So there's an entire village that has most probably taken care of her children.
Okay.
And they turned out all right. My mom got married at 15.
Wow.
And she had me at 16, my brother at 17, and my dad was an army guy. And we were away from a community. We were not close to her village or with family around. She, as a 16-year-old, had to bring up 2 children on her own. She didn't know. So when I look back, a lot of my trauma used to come in the form of complaints.
Okay.
Complaints on my dad, complaints on my mom. And as I did my inner work, I realized, hey, they didn't know better.
Yeah.
Which moved to, that time I was this little girl who didn't have choices. Now, as an adult, with this know-how, I have choices. Where do I want to go? So I see life always about choices. Who I was before the transition also had good life.
Yeah.
I had a choice to stay there. And a lot of women make that choice to stay there. But we have to remember, if I'm making that choice, it has to be an informed choice. What am I losing to stay here?
Okay.
And when we go, if we make a choice that, this is not okay, I want to be somebody else, then also we will lose something. And we will gain something. So I think it's always about this inner knowing, the awareness. We can sit and complain about the world for kingdom come. It is not going to take us anywhere. The real work happens when I can sit with my own demons, with my own shadows, and work with them. Make friends with them and go where I want to go. And that is where the real power comes. That housewife that many years back would have never imagined to go on these adventures, do stuff on her own, make choices that she made. Nobody who knew her or herself can believe that I have done this. Which means we all have that inner capability. We're just not accessing it.
Absolutely. You mentioned a right point. We are not accessing it. But do you think it comes from a point that there is no awareness, or the system is such that we are not taught to be choosing us? Or where is this stemming from, of women struggling to choosing herself, according to you, of course?
Most of the times, not all the times, but most of the times we've been taught that we need somebody to depend on. That, there's this whole story about, okay, I am this half and somebody in my half, life will come and will become a whole.
Okay.
Nobody talks about I am a whole.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that knowing is very important.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That I am a whole person. And everything of me is important. The community is important, the family is important, but they are extensions of me. So a lot of people, especially when we talk about relationships, a lot of people talk about, first thing is love. I say, sorry, first is respect.
Absolutely.
Do you respect yourself enough? People in your life, are you feeling that respect? And then comes the second part. Okay, then love. Then nobody talks about financial independence. Nobody talks about emotional independence. Now these are layers that we need to work on.
Yeah.
That will make us whole.
Okay.
And for me, I feel that is the most powerful step for anybody who is looking at, okay, I am not happy where I am. I think we all need to just close our eyes for 1 second and ask, are you happy where you are? And do you believe that you're capable of doing more? And if your answer is yes, I can do more, then look at what are the hurdles. And most of the times we are the hurdle in our lives.
Okay.
Our own thinking is the hurdle in our lives. How do we break that? Now that's the work that we need to do.
Absolutely.
And when we do our inner work, our external environment changes.
Okay.
I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah. So if I have to ask you, are you happy? How are you going to respond to that?
Okay. I think happy is overrated. And I would say I'm more peaceful. I'm more in charge of my life.
Okay.
Knowing that whatever choices I'm making, I am making those choices. Somebody else is not making those choices for me. And even if I fail while making those choices, I will be okay with it. I mean, we are human beings here. None of us are perfect.
Yeah.
We are meant to make mistakes, learn on the go. None of us were born, remember, as a 1-day-old baby, we didn't know how to talk, we didn't know everything. We learned everything on the go. It's like the, first time you get on a cycle, you remember? You fall, your knees are chipped.
Yeah.
And that's how you learn cycling.
Yes.
And I think living is also like that. That we need to make our mistakes, we need to learn, but it's important to know that I'm failing because of my own choices.
Yeah.
Because when I'm winning, it will also be because of my own choices. And that brings a lot of peace.
Okay.
That brings a lot of control, lot of self-respect, lot of I am enough.
Okay.
Then when we look for people around us, it will be not from a place of dependency. It will be a place of, okay, I water you, you water me.
I'm already full, I pour your cup.
Right. So like, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So I take care of myself.
Yeah.
I respect myself. And in that, I receive respect from the other.
Yeah.
So that's where we need to do work in terms of happy, joy, peace, whatever it is. I think it comes from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
From all this year experience, have you ever felt like, wish I could have got this support? Wish this person have stood up for me? Wish I would have taught this at this age? Is there anything like that?
Wish or maybe expectation. I think when I was going through this transition, we normally expect family and friends to support you. Sometimes a married partner, sometimes the parents, brother, sister, friends, somewhere. I didn't receive that at that point, and it was very painful to not have that. But looking back, I also see that I didn't know why I was making those choices. It was hard for me to explain to them. So I think it's I think anybody who is looking to transition, it's important to do things on your own. Yes, we can create, like now, like how we are doing this. Maybe more women are inspired and find a buddy system to where a safe space.
Okay.
To be able to talk, ask guidance. So for anybody who is listening, I would say the first step is to gain financial independence.
Okay.
Because if you do not have money in your wallet, if you do not have control over your money, like I know a lot of women who are working, but the banking password is with a male authority in their life, whoever it is. And I think we are scared to make those financial decisions. But let's remember that traditionally men are trained to handle money better. And we have started maybe later, so we may make some mistakes, but it's okay. But it's important to have your own financial independence. If you have money in your wallet, then you can make choices. Okay, I want to see a therapist, or I want to do inner healing work, I want to go on a spiritual path, I want to go maybe to Isha, maybe to Ravi Shankar, maybe to pranic healing, whatever. Everything needs money. So I think the first step would be gain your financial independence.
Okay.
And that's hard work.
Yeah.
And it is important to do that. Because in that financial independence, I will start respecting myself and I can make choices.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ranjeetha, for those perspective. It is mind-blowing for me. I can so much relate to it because one point or the other in my life journey, I was also there. So I can relate to it, but I hope the viewers is also taking benefit out of it. If I have to give the floor to you now to say anything from your heart to the viewers listening to it, what would that be?
I think my own learning, and I will share that with everyone, is that somehow life is not a straight line. And I think every time I have gone through a transition, I've gone through multiple transitions, and I've had to build myself and then break down myself again and rebuild and break down. I think we need to keep doing that. It's like upgradation, like how we upgrade our phones, upgrade our cars and stuff like that. I think even our personalities needs to be upgraded. So be okay with failing, be okay with people commenting on what are you doing with your life. Be okay with feeling like a failure.
Absolutely.
Because it's important to go through a failure to feel what winning is.
Yeah.
If I don't know what failure is, how will I know the meaning of winning?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only when we know darkness, we know the value of light.
Yeah.
So I think be okay with those transitions, and life will never be a straight line. So enjoy your life.
Equip yourself, enjoy your life, and make your own choices and be happy with it.
Yeah.
With the consequences, whatever it might come in.
Either
right?
way, there are consequences. So make it a educated choice, informed choice, and it will. One thing I can guarantee is it will make you a better person, and you will have a better life.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.